Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we're going to talk about the interpretation of one of the ship's boats, which we've gotten to change recently thanks to some new information. So, we've talked about the ship's boats a lot in the past. In the 1980s, Battleship New Jersey would have carried up to 6 boats. Two 26-foot motor surf boats, like the one suspended above this one. Two 40-foot personnel boats, the Liberty barges, and then a captain's gig and an admiral's barge. Here on the starboard side, we have the ship's admiral's barge set up under the davits. We interpret the ship as if it's 1990 during the ship's last active deployment when she sailed into the Persian Gulf. During that deployment is also the only time that she was the flagship for an admiral in the 1980s, Admiral Paul Reason. Each admiral gets to choose the color scheme of their boats. And they're pretty similar. There are only 2 colors to paint a boat, white and black. So the paint schemes are always similar, but we never knew what the correct scheme was for Admiral Reason's personal boat. We don't have any of New Jersey's original boats as far as we know. When she's decommissioned, her boats are removed and they go back into the inventory to be reused on other ships. Fortunately, between '91 when New Jersey was decommissioned and 2001 when the ship opened as a museum, the Navy starts to get rid of all of these rigid-hulled boats to be replaced with inflatables, the notorious ribs that are still active in the Navy today. So these were available when the ship was turned into a museum, and we were able to acquire a set of them. However, every admiral uses different colors. So we didn't know what the right color was. So originally, the ship had a black hull, a white cabin. That's fairly common. It had a green stripe, and it had a white underwater hull. At some point in the museum's history, we painted the whole hull black and moved the green stripe up several inches. Theoretically, that could have happened in naval service, but likely it was in museum service. And we know this because we had an Eagle Scout choose to restore this boat as part of their Eagle Scout project. It's been sitting here since 2001. It hasn't gotten a lot of love. So they came on board, they sanded it down, and when they got under the black, there was white before you get to the primer. And then they found an extra stripe on there and some other changes. Around the same time, we were going through some of the ship's cruise books. All of them but one are available online. There's a link in the description below. You can see all but one of New Jersey's cruise books and many other ships' cruise books as well. The one that is not online is the one from 1989-1990, the ship's last active deployment. And in that book, which we were able to look through a hard copy of here in the museum's collection that was recently donated by a former sailor, on one of the pages, there is a picture of a group of sailors running. Makes sense. Captain Katz, who later retired as an admiral, was the ship's second to last commanding officer. He was real big on physical fitness requirements, so there's a bunch of guys running. The whole book is filled with guys running. But they're running around the fantail, and in the background shot is one of the ship's Liberty boats. And behind that Liberty boat, in the background of the background, is the aft starboard quarter of the Admiral's Barge. You can just see this little corner. Look at it here in this picture. You can just zoom in on it and see it. And you can see that it's got the white top. They all seem to have that. It's got the black upper hull. Again, there's only 2 colors to paint a boat, black or white. But it shows that there was then a white stripe for the waterline and then a bluish-green underwater hull. And that was such a striking color scheme. I absolutely love it. You guys know that I grew up working on Constellation in Baltimore. And Constellation, Constitution, the original frigates, they had a greenish teal underwater hull. It's the verdigris color from the copper plating oxidizing. So below the waterline is green, and then the hull of them is black with a white stripe in that American version of the Nelson Checker, classic from the Age of Sail. So it looks like Admiral Reason's boat is an homage to the early sailing ships of the U.S. Navy. And, you know, that makes sense. As a Naval Academy graduate, he would have grown up on stories of those ships and their service. So it's a really cool color scheme for this boat, and since the rest of the battleship is painted gray, it makes for a really striking pop of color as you're walking down the pier. The only things that you see on the ship that aren't gray are the Harpoon missile launchers with their red covers and this boat. So it really stands out and gives the ship a nice pop of color. And most importantly, it is more historically correct to our period of interpretation. Preservation of this boat is ongoing. We're still doing some work to backdate it to look like it would have been Admiral Reason's boat. While he retired as a 4-star admiral, in fact the first black 4-star admiral in the Navy, when he served on New Jersey he was just a 2-star rear admiral. Obviously the boat we got was for a 3-star vice admiral. We're going to take one of the stars off, and we recently found out what was on the back of the boat. It's usually their command. So Admiral Reason was the commander of cruisers and destroyers Pacific Fleet when he served on New Jersey with New Jersey as his flagship. So we're going to have Com, Crew, Des, Div, Pack, Fleet, whatever, in stainless steel letters on the back of the ship. We're just raising a couple $100 to recreate those letters, as the boat came with a blank name board across the back. We don't have the original letters, and they wouldn't have been accurate for Admiral Reason's boat anyway. If you'd like to support the ongoing restoration of this boat and the rest of this ship, there's a link in the description below for ways you can donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us and our channel. Thanks for watching.